Hello everybody, welcome. I'm Payman Hisari. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about for loop. What is a for loop? How and when to use a for loop? How to quit a for loop and how to skip some of the item in a for loop. All of them will be covered. And also I will talk about what is a nested loop. Loops are type of control instruction used for iteration and repetition. Iteration is the process of carrying out the same operation on various objects one at a time. Repetition means carrying out an operation more than once. In Python, usually we have two types of loops. One is for loop and the other one is while loop. In this lesson, I will cover for loop. When we use for loop, we usually have a sequence that we want to go over each item of the for loop, and the syntax to do so is the keyword for, and we need a variable called loop variable, then in keyword, and the sequence that we have, followed by a colon, and then what we want to do as a loop body. Here is an example. We have a list consists of A, B, C, and we want to print out each element. What we do is for elements in a sequence or the list that we have, colon, then in the next line, which is indented, we write print element. So when we run this, as you can see, we have A, B, and C. Or we have a string called Python, and we want to print out each character of the string that we have. We write for char in S, print char. And as you can see, we have Python. As an example, here is, we have a list, and we want to calculate the sum of all elements in this list. What we do, we have a sum list equals 0 to calculate the sum, and then we go over the list elements and we add all of each element to the list that we have, and then we print out the sum list. One of the functions that we use a lot using for loop is range function, which is a built function in Python. The range function has 3 arguments: a start, a stop, and a step. A start is a point that we want to start. A stop is the point that we want to stop, which is not included. And a step is the steps that we want to increment from a start to a stop. As you can see here, we start from 2 to 10 and increment by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, and the next is 10. Because 10 is not included, we don't have that one. If we don't include a step, then the default value would be 1. And as you can see, we have 2, 3, up to 9, and does not include 10 again. And if we have only one argument, the Python will start from 0 and stop at the point where the number 10 is, and it does not include 10. Here is an example using for loop with range function. For I in range of 3, print I and include 0, 1, and 2. There are situations when we use for loop, we want to skip some elements, or we want to break and quit the for loop. And this can be done using continue and break a statement. Here is an example. We have a list of numbers and we want to sum all of the odd number. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we want to calculate the sum of 1, 3, and 5, and we skip to the even number. So in order to do this, we use a for loop. For I in the list that we have, we say if the number is even, continue, go to the next element. Otherwise, add it to the sum of odds variable that we have. And here is the result, as we can see. Or when we arrive at the point, we want to quit the for loop and get out of the for loop. Here's a list that we have, and we want to sum only to up to the point that we have the number 5, and that then a stop. We use break statement. We call it for loop for I in L. If I is bigger than 5, then break. This break quit the for loop and comes to the next statement, which is the print. There are situations where we have more than 2 sequences and we want to have a for loop over each one of them. In these cases, we use nested loop. Nested loop means there is one loop inside another loop. Here is an example. We have weeks, which consist of week 1 and week 2, and days, which consist of day 1 and day 2. And we want to write down each days for each week. So we have 4 loops for weeks and another for loop for days, which the second for loop is within the first for loop. And as you can see, for each week, the week 1, we can loop over the days, day 1 and day 2, and the second week, we have day 1 and day 2. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.